So that was Coyote, and in a sense, that was the beginning of Padua,
Right.
if I understand it right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, what happened was I was teaching at Laverne University. I had two students. One of whom was Kelly Stewart.
Yeah.
And he came over to my house one day and he said, "I want to show you something." His name was John Woodruff. And he took me, I was living in Laverne, he took me to the hills above Claremont, where there is it was a Mexican hacienda type of establishment called Padua Hills, which was a kind of a dinner theater setup, but it had a lot of grounds and a lot of nice outbuildings. And he said, why don't we have a workshop here this summer? It's the summer of '78, and invite some of your friends to teach from New York, and we'll send out a national brochure. You can use the dorm here at Laverne University, and we'll put up $11,000. That's what the budget was for the first Padua. And we had already been working on Coyote, and so I thought it'd be great, we'll just keep on working on Coyote. And they became part of the core of an acting group that we hired for the summer to be available to the students and to the playwrights, without having the idea of performing them, except for ourselves, for each other. But after we had gone a while, and Darryl and Norbert and I we had really found a play, and we felt like we could perform it. And Irene had something that she wanted to perform, and Sam had a little play, and John Stepling wanted to use the field and do a play. So we decided to do it for the public, and we just quickly publicized it. We did it, I think, for, I don't remember how many weekends now, but one or two. Three weekends.
Well, eventually it became 3. I think in the beginning it was actually just 2 weekends. The first year and the second year.
And we got an audience, all outside, because we couldn't work inside. And we just kept on doing it. We had no plan to have a permanent theater playwriting workshop. But it was such a vivifying event for everybody. It was very good for the students, very good for us, and we had a very good core of actors available, that we just kept on doing it, and we did it ultimately for 17 years. So,
and the first 6 years, it was actually at Padua Hills. Then
right.
it moved to various universities.
We went all over the place
around Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Murray left out about the first and maybe even the second year, then these things changed, was that he told the playwrights, you can do anything you want to do. The only thing that I ask you to stick to is make it site-specific. The play has to be site-specific, which means go around these grounds were beautiful. They were real coyotes and rattlesnakes. And it was really California chaparral, and it was wild. And find a place that you like. Also buildings, interesting old buildings. Contemplate the place, and then write your play about that place. That was one thing that certainly the first year and maybe even the second year. Then some of the, like Irene Fornes brought in a play she had written, and that was wonderful, what was it? Fefu and Her Friends. And so that's just a partial answer to your question.
But it really fit the environment. I mean, she wanted to do Fefu there because you could move the audience around, and that was one of the aspects of the festival that was so interesting, because the audience didn't stay in one place and the play changed. The audience had to move to the plays because the plays were set up all over the place, and Pfeffer worked really well because Pfeffer itself had different sites, and
yeah, it landed so perfectly.
It was very good for Padua. Yeah. But I also asked the playwrights to be available to the students and to show up at the student readings. That was the two requirements, were to be as site-specific as possible, even if it was a play already written, but to be site-specific, and to be available to the students for the workshops and for the student readings. But the investigatory atmosphere and the attitudes that we had that Padua was a step forward, I think, it was a step after Off-Broadway. It really was I think what it did was it gave us the opportunity, those of us who were more or less peers at the time, who had been through Off-Broadway, which lasted only 7 or 8 years, at its peak even, a chance to experiment further because we were outside and because we had complete freedom, because I was in charge and I wasn't leaning on anybody in any way, pretty much. And I was also interested in following my own work, the work I was doing with the actors and what I was writing. And so it was a very good field for people like Irene and John O'Keefe and John Stepling, who were at just a place in their writing and in their directing, work with actors, where they were given a place and the people and the freedom to work. So I think we took it past a little bit further than Off-Broadway, and we evolved technical and stylistic innovations that are, I think, historically valid ones.